India have won the series. They're going to get back for two. India home. Lords goes wild.
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the 81 All Out podcast. This is Siddhartha Vaidyanathan at Sidvi on Twitter. And today I'm delighted to welcome two guests from Dhaka. First, we are honored to have Shahriar Nafees, who played 24 tests and 75 one-dayers for Bangladesh in an international career that spanned 8 years. Shahriar was a teenage prodigy, and he made his test debut in 2005 at the age of 20. And just a year later, he made one of a brilliant 100 against Australia in Fatullah in a test that Bangladesh came very close to winning. And it was a fantastic test, gripping right through. Shahriar then went on to play in the Champions Trophy and in the World Cup and in a number of games for Bangladesh. And he still continues to play first-class cricket and domestic cricket, even though he has not played for Bangladesh for about 7 years now, but he's still active in the first-class scene. So thank you so much for joining us, Shahriar. It's great to have you.
Thanks, Siddhartha, for having me.
Wonderful. And also joining us is the Bangladesh correspondent for ESPNcricinfo, Mohammad Isam. Hi, Isam.
Sid, thanks for inviting me to your podcast.
Wonderful. Yeah, Isam has been here before, and always a pleasure to chat about cricket in Bangladesh and everything else around it. So let's begin with you, Shahriar. And I'm always interested to know from cricketers who have played at the highest level about when they started playing, with who, and if we can get an idea of, the earliest cricket that you played in when you were starting out.
The first memory of myself playing cricket, it's in a photograph. I have got a photograph where I was like probably 2.5 years old holding a cricket bat. So that I cannot remember I was playing, but I can remember that I was holding a bat. I am from a military family, so my father used to work in army. So we had the luxury of those playing fields. So we were always active playing. I can still remember watching the 1992 World Cup. That was the first ever World Cup with colored dress and the white ball happening in Australia. So I can still remember that me, my brother, and my father used to wake up very early because that was the Ramadan day. So we used to wake up. Me and my brother was too young to do fasting, but my father used to fast. So we used to wake up very early, watch those matches, and probably that is the earliest memory, like which motivated me and my brother to play cricket. And we used to play cricket all the time. We went to school, come back, and after that, probably every time 4 p.m. every time afternoon, me and my brother used to go into the ground and play cricket. One thing motivated me and my brother to play cricket, that we had cricket in our family. So like my uncles and my cousins used to play cricket. One of my cousins has captain Bangladesh, Farooq Ahmed. He used to be the national captain and then become the selector for the national side. So we can still remember that my cousins and my uncles played. So probably that followed into us. And like from when I was very young, me and my brother always played cricket. So whether it's like in the field or inside house, and the number of glasses and the number of things we have destroyed in our home, we cannot count. So it was always cricket. It was like always inside our room. So that was room cricket. Then in the afternoon we used to go to the ground and play cricket. So cricket, we've been playing cricket for very early days, and it's like we've been playing, and then became a cricketer.
Wonderful. So you must have been quite young in that when watching that 92 World Cup, and of course that would have made a huge impact on you. So around that time, Bangladesh, of course, was not playing international cricket, but international test cricket. They were playing one-dayers. But around that time, who were the heroes for you growing up mainly?
All right. In 1992, I was 7 and my brother was 5, not 4.5. but we used to go to the ground and play. And at that period, it was like Bangladesh used to play those ICC trophies. But one thing is very interesting: the domestic cricket of Bangladesh, especially Dhaka Premier League, for one-day tournament, is a very old and a prestigious tournament. We have seen a lot of great cricketers come and play in Dhaka Premier League. So like my brothers used to, my like cousins used to play. They all played those those one-day matches. So for the first motivation for us was my cousin Farooq Ahmed and his brother, because they played and they were very much established on that Dhaka Premier League. So those and after 1992, my dad got posted in Chittagong. So but my mom said like we need to get admitted in a good school. So we came in Dhaka and settled there. So coincidentally, we rented a house of my cousins. So we were in the first floor. My cousins used to stay in the third floor and the second floor. And probably at that period, that I'm talking about 1993, that house probably was the only house in Dhaka city, probably in Bangladesh, which had a practice net on the roof. So what my cousin did, he had a pitch made of concrete and put nets all over the roof. So he used to practice there. And we can still remember when he finished practice, me and my brother used to go there and play cricket. And it gave us that security, like when there is net, the ball is not lost. We can hit all the balls, whatever we want. So in that house, we saw my cousin practicing. And as he was a very established cricketer, so most of the national cricketers back that time used to come and visit that house. They used to watch cricket. They used to talk cricket. So we were very much motivated watching those scenarios. And that's one thing. And second thing, it's a very interesting story, and it had a great impact in my life. That was 1994. Ashes was going on. Shane One was on fire. So I can still remember my cousin and all the national cricketers. They were friends. They used to watch the Ashes cricket together. And me and my brother used to go upstairs and watched Ashes with them. So these are the very much early memories of me and my brother watching those established cricketers play and watching cricket with them. So these had great impact on us.
Wonderful. Yeah, I mean, it's. I'm just imagining the nets and the cricket pitch on the roof of a. This is something that is really amazing in the early 90s in Bangladesh. Isam, did you have nets on the roof on top of your house when you were growing up?
No, not quite. I can tell you the first time I saw Shahriar Nafees and his brother playing cricket, it was around the time Bangladesh had won the ICC trophy in 1997. Around that time, I was training in a ground called Abohani ground. It's near my place. And there was a huge rush of kids there. We all joined practice just after Bangladesh started, became a champion team. So I remember someone pointing him out as he was his left-handed batsman. There was very few left-handed batsmen back there. So we later figured out that he goes to a coach called Wahidul Ghani. And obviously Ashraful was there. Ashraful, Shahriar Nafees, we used to know him as Abid. Abid and his brother, there was a guy called Arafat Sani. Around from that same time, I think they all were big stars of our youth. We were all pretty much of the same age group. So I remember seeing him bat in the nets, and I think I bowled to him a few times in the nets as well. I don't know whether, I'm sure he doesn't remember. But so that's how I got to see him bat for the first time, or see him as a cricketer.
Interesting. So now that we are here, I mean, talking about this, maybe we can, get into the age group kind of the discussion. So Isam, you have, often mentioned about the strength and what the, age group level cricket brings to Bangladesh. In fact, even after the recent under-19 victory, you had spoken about how it's such a wonderful feeder system for the team. And can you talk a bit about that and, how it was back then when Shahriar was playing, or when you were playing, I mean, it seems that a lot of teenage talents are picked up pretty early, right?
Okay, so yeah, around 2000, 2001, Bangladesh were playing a lot of regional tournaments. And around 1998, they also played the Under-19 World Cup in South Africa. So the countrywide search for talent was always on. I remember that in 2001, there was an Under-17 Asia Cup being held in Dhaka, in different grounds in Dhaka. And there was a huge Under-17 talent hunt. And from there emerged Mashrafi Murtaza. He came from a very, very backward place. It was real backwaters of cricket in Bangladesh. No one heard of Mashrafi Murtaza from Norail down south. He comes up, he scores a lot of runs quickly. He bowls really fast. Mohammad Ashraful obviously was a very talented cricketer back then. Shahriar Nafees was another hugely talented cricketer, and they all got fast tracked because they trained from the very beginning. They trained well, going to the nets regularly, doing all the skill work, and then around 2001 to the foreign, there was a high performance unit that changed Bangladesh cricket. That high performance unit, where Shahriar Nafees and a lot of these cricketers, they became better cricketers because of better fitness, better diet. We heard stories like players weren't ready to accept diets, accept these fitness regimes, but quickly it became quite evident that seeing someone like Shahriar Nafees, that this whole age group system from under 13 to under 19 really works, because Bangladesh often goes to these tournaments favorites. That's been happening for a long time. I think since 2006, 2008, whenever a Bangladesh under-19 team has gone to these World Cups, they have been one of the big teams, and this time they won, which isn't really a huge surprise, because at that age level, Bangladesh really competes with most of the other test playing nations.
Wonderful. So Shahriar, can you talk a bit about your schedule, sort of cricketing schedule when you were younger, say in your 15, 16? How much of organized cricket were you playing? Proper leather ball nets, and how much of just amateur street cricket were you playing?
All right, listening to Hisham, I can still remember everything happened from 1995. So basically, we were in Dhaka in 1990, from 1993. My family was in Dhaka. So the way I started was back in 1995. There was the Bangladesh, then it was not BCB, it was BCCB. So Bangladesh Cricket Control Board organized under 12 cricket program. So they said whoever is under 12, they can join and come. So what they did, they appointed a lot of renowned coaches from the city of Dhaka, and they were just taking open applications. So a lot of students registered for that program. So when that time we used to go to Bangabandhu Stadium, the big stadium we had in the middle of the city. So we went to go there. We used to go there and train. And after probably a couple of months later, the program stopped. But what happened? That the lot of coaches said, okay, the centralized program has stopped, but we are going to pick those students and we will run the program by their own. So in Dhanuni ground, the place Hisham is talking about, there were 3-4 coaches who used to run in separate programs. In the Bangabandhu Stadium, there were some coaches used to run the different programs. So and in 1995, me and my brother started training in a proper academy. So that is the place called Abahoni Ground. And Abahoni Ground has produced a lot of international cricketers and a lot of domestic cricketers because that was the place where a lot of kids used to come and train. So that was 1995. And so I was training in that indoor under Wahidul Ghanisar, me, Ashraful, Muhammad Sharif. These are from Onkur Cricket Academy, and another used to be CCS. Probably Isham was training in CCS. So CCS had Rajin Saleh, Mehrab Hossain Jr., Ilyas Sani. So a lot of international cricketers came from those academies. So we used to go there and train 3 days a week, and we used to play in the local grounds even in home. So centralized training, if you talk about centralized training, those were the early days of centralized training, like 1995, 96. A lot of coaches picked those players from that under 12 program and started their own academy in Dhaka in different parts.
Interesting. And what about, other than the centralized training? I mean, were you also, other than that, were you also playing just in and around your house and apartment just for fun as well?
Every time. So like that is the scenario of Dhaka, and that place Isam said that BKSP. It was there from 1988. So that BKSP is an institute. So they used to have those students. They study there and play. And another place I must say it has been producing a lot of domestic cricketers is Rajshahi. I don't know why, but this place has been like providing probably 30 to 40% of domestic players. So in Rajshahi, they used to have those training academies, the coaches. At that time, there was not enough money, but these coaches who dedicated themselves, they used to coach players like without payment and all that because of the love of the game. So this was the scenario of the centralized training. But at Dhaka, we used to watch those domestic matches. I told you that Dhaka Premier League was a big tournament. Apart from training, we used to play in the grounds, especially in Dhaka. But that time, football was bigger than cricket. So the guys who are in Dhaka, and especially say in Dhaka city, we used to play in those fields around us, and we used to play in the garage. We used to play in our room. In those period, we used to have a lot of strikes. So like in every time, like probably in 2-3 months, there were strikes except for 1 day or 2 days. And that period, we used to put stamps on roads and used to play on road.
It's interesting. So, Shahriar, maybe you can tell us, of course, you can tell us about your early memories of tape tennis, but also, as somebody who has played both, tell us like the main difference between, playing with that tape tennis and the skills required compared to, say, playing conventional leather ball cricket.
All right. So when we won 1997 ICC trophy and Bangladesh qualified for the 1999 World Cup, then this whole cricket thing emerged in Bangladesh. Everyone was talking about cricket. Everyone was playing cricket, especially the kids. And that period, football was big. And we used to, like most of the kids used to play football. But to play football, you need a ground. But to play table tennis cricket or tennis ball cricket, you don't need a ground. It can be a road. So what happened? Like I grew up in Mohammadpur, a place very close to Dhanmandi, and in those areas, it's like it's a place where you have roads. So like 19, say road number 1. So you have two separate lanes of house, and then you go side, and this road number 2. So what used to everyone used to come down and play in streets, and that those days Dhaka didn't have so many traffic, that we didn't have so many cars, so it was all rickshaw, so it was safe for the kids to play. So what happened, we started playing tennis ball, but tennis ball bounces more, so then we learned how to play with tape tennises. I wish I would have played more tape tennis cricket because it helps you in this modern day in T20s, because in tape tennis cricket it used to be 5 overs game or 8 overs game, so those games were very short. All you needed used to hit big sixes and big fours, and they had those specialist bowlers who used to bowl very fast. So those 5 overs game and 8 overs game, these are very early versions of T20 and T10. So you need to hit as many as balls it was possible. So like the basic difference was, if you talk about the rules, they used to play in one end. So in most of the grounds, they were not big grounds, and if you are playing in roads, so there's no two like you put wicket in one side, and they didn't have wickets in the other side, so we used to play in one end. And second thing was you had to hit. So it was all hitting game. So that's why it was very much popular, because they used to have so many runs. And those days, I can still remember when I was in school, it was very difficult for us to find a cricket ball. Like just the game has started in Bangladesh. Bangladesh will be playing in the World Cup. So those, I'm talking about 1995, 96, 97, 98. We didn't even used to buy those cricket balls because it was so difficult for us to find cricket balls. But in table tennis, it was only 10 taka for a tennis ball and probably 5 taka a tape, and you could have played with that tape tennis for like unless until the ball gets like the ball is not damaged and something like that, you could play. So 5 short games, heavy high intensity. Oh, no spinners. So if you both spin, then it was easy for the batsman to hit. So like 5 to 8 overs game, high hitting sixes and fours and all fast bowlers. So this was my earliest memory of playing test cricket and table tennis cricket.
Very interesting. No spinners, even no left arm spinners also, Isam. I mean,
Everyone was
how was
fast
your
bowler.
experience? How was your experience with tape tennis, Isam?
Yeah, as Shahriar Nafees just said, as Nafees bhai just said that no spinners. So obviously I was in a very disadvantageous position. But I was, elder brothers from the neighborhood used to take me to these matches, and the nerd that I was, I bowled spin and I got hit. And sometimes I took a few wickets, but I wasn't called back again in other areas like Mohammadpur and all these places.
Mohammadpur was the hotbed of table tennis cricket.
Exactly.
It had some of, I'll be honest with you, some of these cricketers, if they were, 10 years, younger, they could have played T20 cricket. They could have played the BPL because they were very skillful hitters of fast bowling. There was a guy called, I think his name was Chomchol. He was very quick and he had a bent arm at times, like when he really went after you. But I remember playing against him when I was really young, and he was one of those high-paid, high-demand players. They used to call them table tennis masters.
Like I wish I could have played more table tennis. It would have helped me to play these T20 matches. Like me, I was always very traditional, very methodical. So I didn't play a lot of table tennis matches. Probably I have played in schools, but those are not proper matches. But I can remember I have played 2 to 3 matches before like starting playing those age level cricket. So I used to go to, like, what happened was, like, I used to go this Abodi Mart and train, and I liked it, but I never played that much. Yes, we have played with my friends, but like not that professionally. And one thing I should say, whether I'm not like whether it's right or wrong, but I what I believe is, in Dhaka had different areas where this table tennis cricket emerged. One was Mohammadpur, and another was one Dhanmondi, another one was like the old Dhaka. So in those areas, we used to have those the camps for those the trapped Pakistanis. Like we have those places where these Pakistani people lives, who couldn't during the liberation, what they couldn't go. So these people used to play this table tennis, and they were like playing table tennis cricket all the time. Probably they have influenced a lot of the local kids, Bangladeshi kids, playing this table tennis tournament. And I have seen in those grounds, like those kids, those Pakistani kids used to play a lot cricket all day long. So even we were like very much inspired by them. And this is how table tennis cricket emerged in Bangladesh.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's extremely interesting about how you spoke about the history of table tennis cricket, and it's about how maybe the Pakistani influence had a big role to play. But also, if I can get an idea from either of you, I mean, say today, if there is a table tennis player, I mean, and you're saying that there are people who make a living out of it. Like, how much money approximately will they be getting? Like, say, on a monthly basis.
So, say if you you can play 3 table tennis matches in a day, you can play. Oh. So if you earn 2,000 per match, so 2,000 per match. So you are earning 6,000 taka a day. And if you play 20 days of table tennis cricket every month, that means you are earning almost how much? So it will be 20 into 6,000, something around 120,000 taka a month. So yeah, I know there's like, but you don't play all the year. So if you're playing 6 months of table tennis cricket, probably the very best, I'm just talking about an average, the very best can earn up to 500 to 600,000 a year.
Wow. Very interesting. And also, if how are these? You've spoken about the number of overs, say, 8 overs and 15 overs. But is there any other like modifications that happen in these tournaments, or is it? Are there any specific terms and anything particular that?
Way before T20 became T20, I'm talking about mid 90s, early 90s. A good table tennis tournament used to be of 20 overs, not less or not more. A good it was always that very interesting. We used to play 8 overs, 10 overs games as well when we used to play with our
Especially
friends.
the finals.
Yeah, definitely the final. The final will be 20 overs. For some weird reason, we always thought that 4 overs per bowler. Even I remember in '99 in Dhanmondi we held a tournament. It was like a lot of good teams came, a lot of national cricketers played, and I remember that it was a 20-over tournament. It was not called T20. The 20 mention of 20 was not there, but it was always assumed that a good table tennis tournament will be a 20-over tournament.
I've been to Pakistan back in 2006, and I also, watched quite a bit of street cricket there and table tennis there. And I played also. I played, in fact, in Karachi, got a chance to play, along with a group of people just on the streets with table tennis. And I found, what you people are saying is absolutely true, that, doesn't make sense to be a spinner in that format. You just want to go out there and bowl fast. And in fact, batting also becomes secondary because the bowling is so magical, it's so, attractive that you just want to go out there and run in and bowl. And that is given as a reason why, of course, it could be a stereotypical reason, but it's given as a reason why Pakistan has continued to produce so many bowlers. But in Bangladesh, why do you think that, that hasn't somehow translated to the international level? Is it because, of course, there have been fast bowlers and that is true, but I'm saying, is it also a case of table tennis and traditional cricket being on two different paths almost?
You make a very good point that both countries, Bangladesh and Pakistan, they play a lot of table tennis cricket which encourages fast bowling, but why doesn't Bangladesh produce enough fast bowlers? First of all, they don't need to bowl at all in home test matches, and I think home test matches is where you're going to become bowlers. And see, Pakistanis also produce flat wickets. They didn't always produce good fast bowling wickets when they used to play a lot in Pakistan, like 70s, 80s, 90s. They didn't always produce great wickets. But what happened was that that urge to play, I think I read in an Akib Javed interview that a lot of things mattered. The diet mattered, the hero worship, the mentorship mattered, and then skill mattered. So they developed the skills. The Bangladeshi fast bowlers never really, you can say that they never really got the opportunity to, develop their skills. But at the same time, look at how they began. They all began playing table tennis. Rubel was a table tennis player. Mashrafi was a table tennis player. Even nowadays, most of these cricketers, at least the first time they bowl as a kid is with a table tennis. And if he's a fast bowler, it's that lure of swinging the ball or crushing the stumps. That's how they start. But the moment they reach cricket ball, the moment they reach Dhaka and Mirpur and all these nice grounds and everything, fast bowling goes to death. Fast bowling goes into the corner, we'll let the spinners do the job. So I think ultimately attitude matters. I'm telling you, Shahriar Nafees was one of the best players of fast bowling in Bangladesh. There's a reason for that, because when he was growing up, he played a lot of fast bowling in the nets, and there was a time when Mashrafi bowled 85 plus. There was a time when Bangladesh had really good fast bowlers. But again, that didn't translate into a long-term success story. It just stopped somewhere in between. Players got injured. I forgot to make one point. The selectors are they just keep changing bowling attacks. That's another huge problem. No one gets any. There's no job security as a fast bowler. There's no job security even in league cricket as well. So the problem is, elsewhere. It's not just that the fast bowlers they start off with a very fresh mind, but then the real world just gobbles them up.
Shahriar, do you agree with all these assessments about why Bangladesh has not been able to translate that fast bowling passion from this amateur level to the professional level?
Yeah, I agree with Isham. The thing is, Bangladesh has always been depending on the spinners to win matches for them. This is the very reason we have produced quite a few fast bowlers. As a fast bowler, what you need motivation. If you are 85 miles per hour bowler, if you are motivated, if you like fed well, trained well, if you are like given the assurance, then you can go up to 90 to 94, 92, 93 miles per hour. But if you're not bowling, if you're bowling only 4 5 overs a day, then it becomes difficult for you to bowl fast. So probably this is the very reason that Bangladesh has always been depending on the spinners. That's why we haven't produced that number of fast bowlers. Yes, we have produced quite a bit fast bowlers who used to bowl quick. Mashrafi used to bowl almost 90 miles per hour. Rubel was there, Taskin is there, Mustafi is there. But if you are not like motivated enough to bowl fast, then it's very difficult for you to bowl fast. And fast bowling is a very difficult thing. It is very challenging. It is very much physically demanding. So you need to take care of your fast bowlers very really well. And if you don't do that, then you're not going to have fast bowlers. Like recently, if you look at India, India has been always like spinners friendly, those slow pitches and all that. But India suddenly realized if they want to be the number one team in the world, they have to win everywhere. And if to win everywhere, you need those fast bowlers. And they have invested so much to bring those fast bowlers and who can bowl very fast, who can swing the ball. And now they're getting those results. India has one of the best fast bowling unit in the world. So, like I think in some time we will understand. Bangladesh will understand that we need fast bowlers, and we can take care of those fast bowlers. One thing, if we talk about those step ball and cricket ball, Bangladeshis and Indians are not genetically not as strong as those Pakistanis. That's why Pakistani, whoever bowls, they are quick. But in India and Bangladesh, you have to take care of those fast bowlers. If you don't take care of those fast bowlers, you are not producing them.
Yeah, and there is a flip side to this as well, right? That yes, of course, if you focus on fast bowlers and if you give them motivation, of course you start producing more and more fast bowlers. But you also start producing batsmen who can play fast bowling well, and you will be able to answer that because as Isam said, you were probably good against fast bowling because of the attacks that you faced in the nets and when you were practicing. And the same way, if the current generation can face bowlers at 85, 90 plus, then they will only improve while batting as well, right?
Definitely. Whenever say Bangladesh will be playing 50% of the matches at home. So you understand you are playing those spinners to win matches, but 50% of the matches you are going abroad and you have to face those fast bowlers. Like when I was a young guy, we had like say 50% fast bowlers and 50% spinners on the net. So we used to play those fast bowlers. When we grew up, there's only a bowling machine thing where you can play those fast balls. But now you have so many things. So you have those side arms, those side arm things with which you can throw very hard. And if you want to be successful everywhere, you need to play fast bowlers very well. And if you are not a good batsman against fast bowlers, then you will be afraid of facing those fast bowlers, and then you'll like break down morally. And then if a quality spinner comes, and then you will struggle. So I totally agree with you. To become better, like you need fast ball to become better batsmen. You need those fast bowlers. You need to face those quick bowlers. Like batting against a bowling machine and batting against a real quick fast bowler is totally different.
Yeah, this is, it's always nice to also listen to the batsman's perspective on this because, fast bowling is also good for them. So you have spoken about, back when you were younger, you've spoken about cricket and football, and you've said how football was really big then, and also about how after Bangladesh's win in the, ICC trophy and the World Cup, then how cricket gradually became much more thing. So how was it? So when you were, say, about to, play your first game, like make your debut, around then, say 2005 or so, then it must have been fully cricket, right?
Cricket.
I mean, cricket must have been the biggest thing.
Like up to 1995, 96, it was football. Very, very little number of kids used to play cricket. The reason is football is a very easy game to play. You buy a ball, you can play. You can play anywhere. If it's raining and Bangladesh is like Bangladesh, it rains a lot here. You can play anywhere. But cricket, you need those stumps and bats and all that. But when Bangladesh got their chance in World Cup, then it became an international sport. Like everyone was seeing Bangladesh national team playing in the World Cup. It was always on television, and like the influence of Pakistan and India in Bangladesh, everything made cricket so popular. And football is still played, but Bangladesh is not successful internationally. So this is the very reason that football declined and cricket rose up.
Yeah, and over the years, I mean, I guess you spoke about a time when there just used to be rickshaws on the street and things, but then things changed with Dhaka itself as a city. It got much more crowded, and I'm imagining that there is quite a scarcity in terms of land and playing area now. So, is there like a bit of a competition as well at the amateur level between cricket being played and football being played, or are there separate spaces for
no competition? No competition. Like cricket is like 95, football is 5. Yes, still like football is very much loved. We love to watch football. Whenever there is World Cup, you will if you can see, like there is flags everywhere. We love to watch football, and we are a football loving nation. But in terms of playing, now we play cricket because cricket has given Bangladesh recognition in the worldwide arena. Like now there is 10. Like now we have got 2 more test playing nations, but like Bangladesh was the 10th test playing nation. Bangladesh was playing all the World Cups, so it gave us international recognition. That's why most of the kids play cricket, but we watch football. So now football on television, but if you are playing cricket.
Yeah, and also one of the things about this recognition and success that you mentioned is, of course, Bangladesh have now playing international cricket, and they've had some success. But the other aspect of this is also following specific cricketers, right? Like I remember reading pieces by Isam that said that one of the reasons why so many left-arm spinners came up was because of someone like Mohammad Rafiq, who had big success early on. And similarly, it could be somebody growing up now wants to be like, Mashrafe, or he wants to be like Shakib. It could be that role models, right?
Now you have role models. Like when we were like younger, we wanted to be like Sachin Tendulkar and Brian Lara. But now my son, he wants to be Shahriar Nafees or Saqib Al Hasan or Mushfiqur Rahim or Mashrafi. So now we have role models whom people can follow. This is the very reason the kids are very much motivated to play cricket. Now we have those role models in front of us, and cricket has given us those role models.
Yeah, you can already see it in our under-19 team. You have wicketkeeper Akbar Ali. He's a wicketkeeper batsman. See, when Khalid Mashood was the main wicketkeeper, people were inspired to become wicketkeepers. To be just, we didn't have a lot of wicketkeeper batsmen who were really good batsmen. The moment Mushfiq came up, you had, so who would have grown up seeing Mushfiq as a child? It was obviously Akbar Ali, the Bangladesh under-19 captain. He doesn't bat like Mushfiq, but his whole composure he's a good wicketkeeper and he's a very good batsman. In that team, you have one guy, he didn't get to play a lot of matches, but you had one guy called Mrityunjoy Chaudhary. He's He's an all-rounder, fast bowling all-rounder, but he didn't get to play a lot of matches. He got injured during the tournament. But he's one of those cricketers you can imagine having watched Shakib and become an all-rounder. Bangladesh doesn't have a lot of seeming all-rounders. Only Saifuddin is there. But the way these cricketers are developing now, you can see it in them that they have modeled them after, they are modeling themselves after these cricketers. I forget the name of the opener who has Tamim as his hero. They have Shomu Sarkar as their hero. Slightly before them, you had cricketers who look at Shahriar Nafees because they grew up seeing a left-hander. When Shahriar Nafees debuted for Bangladesh, we used to think that who was the last left-hander who played for Bangladesh, because for a long time we didn't have Shahriar Nafees was a very good, he's a very good batsman, but we didn't have any left-handers for a very long time. A left-handed batsman opening the batting, and then within 2-3 years he slowly Tamim developed into a good batsman, and now you have a lot of left-handed openers in now. There's a lot of choices that they have. The point is, we will see cricketers cricketers modeling themselves after Shakib, Mashrafi, whether they're right-hander, left-hander, doesn't matter, but you'll see these cricketers coming up, and you can already see that in the younger generation we are starting to develop cricketers. One of the very interesting things that I've noticed in young players these days, whenever I talk to them, Mahmudullah is their hero. He's very popular with young cricketers. I've never figured why exactly. It has to be Shakib or Mashrafi. A number of cricketers who have come up through the ranks, who've become under-19 cricketers or have played 1 or 2 test matches. Many of them tell me that they look up to Mahmudullah's style. I play an amateur tournament in one village just outside Dhaka. There I met a young cricketer. He bats exactly like Mahmud. Exactly like him. He's pushing for the under-19 team next year or something. And he tells me that and there's a lot of cricketers. So it's not just, these 1 or 2 cricketers. You see a repeat of a lot of these talents and probably getting better by the day, probably having more knowledge. I mean, a Mushfiq or a Shakib, they grew up at a time when Bangladesh wasn't doing well, but now these kids are growing up. They're seeing Bangladesh win a lot. I remember that Mohammad Kaif or Yuvraj Singh, they were both doing an interview in that time when they were very good. India were a very good team. I think it was just after that England chase in the NatWest final. Some TV interview, they said that, look, we played under-19 World Cup, we were champions in the under-19 World Cup. They won in 2000, if I'm not wrong. And they said, we know how to beat Australia. We know how to beat South Africa in that level. So now we have that feeling when we come here. This is one of their advantages. There's no baggage. They think, beating England, beating Australia is a normal thing. It's not the end of the world, or it's not the biggest shock in the world. So this feeling is slowly coming into Bangladeshi cricketers. They're seeing Bangladesh winning against big teams. Not always, but they can see that it is very much possible. Then they have repeated it in the under-19 level. I think there is a lot of pessimistic view about Bangladesh cricket. I'm one of them. With all the domestic trouble that we have, all the international play that goes wrong, the bad World Cup campaign. But I'm also a very optimistic guy, thinking that if these under-19 cricketers just let them have their own life, let them play their cricket, you might actually have a good team coming up.
Yeah, now, in terms of role models, earlier when, without television coverage, or when the television coverage was limited, then you had to pick, role models only, from what you saw. But now you can see cricket from anywhere in the world, in any league. And so you can basically, if you want to be like Andre Russell, you can model you can try and model your game on that. So it's you get to see so much more cricket now compared to, say, 20, 25 years earlier.
Exactly. I mean, Andre Russell plays a lot of BPL, Sid, he plays in the BPL. Kevin Pollard has played in the BPL. Chris Gayle plays a lot. I mean, there is a feeling in the media, and I'll be honest, that it's been a prolonged feeling that the BPL doesn't work for Bangladeshi cricketers. I'll tell you that just wait a little while. Let the BPL, have a lot more younger players. Let it run for 10 years or 12 years. You'll see a lot of cricketers catching up with the likes of, with some of the biggest big hit, some of the best big hitters in the world, because they will, you just don't learn something from Chris Gayle by staying with him for 7 days. If you let someone, play with big cricketers, with all these cricketers now coming, they can, not just model themselves after Andrew Russell. They can see what Russell is doing. What he does in the nets, what he does in the gym. He doesn't do at all, nothing in the nets. He's injured. He's got a shoulder injury, but I think he does a lot of gym. I think someone asked Andrew Russell when he came to the BPL this year that, what does one have to do to become Andrew Russell? He said, have a lot of this fruit, have a lot of food. Like, he makes a lot of sense. Eat the right things. Train like an Andrew Russell. Try to hit sixes like an Andrew Russell. I think it's very important to see when you see someone like Andrew Russell playing in Bangladesh and with other Bangladeshi cricketers along with him. It's just the belief that when Russell is hitting a ball, he can back himself into thinking that, I'm going to clear this stadium. And a Bangladeshi cricketer has that bit of doubt that maybe not, because that culture is there, the one-day culture, or that, that conservative culture of not hitting a six. Shahriar Nafees can tell you this better than me, that if he hits a six in a Dhaka League game and he plays the next ball defensively, oh my God, he is the cricketer in that team. Everyone loves him in that club. Not the players. I mean, the players love him, but the club officials, the coach, Shahriar Nafees is a very smart kid. He can hit a six. He knows not to go after the next ball. But my point is that, it doesn't have to be like that all the time. If a bowler bowls another bad ball, Shahriar Nafees will go for a six. He's the first Bangladeshi to score 100 in a BPL. So I'm sure he has learned both sides of the story, that, being cautious even after being an aggressive batsman is okay. You can still be an aggressive batsman throughout an innings and score 100. He added 198 for the first wicket with Lou Winston in Khulna. I was one of the very few journalists who stuck by that day and saw that whole game, because I remember there were 3 games that day. Everyone was tired. I said, no, I'm going to watch this game. I stayed at the ground, watched the whole game. I remember his 100. It was a brilliant knock, and it broke a lot of stereotypes in Bangladesh cricket at that time.
So yeah, Shahriar, you can probably tell us about that, about whether over time, since when you started off and over time since you played, if there's been, a subtle shift in your mindset when it comes to approaching an innings.
Definitely, like when the T20 came, everything changes, no? Like nowadays you are seeing more runs in T20 in Test matches, even in one-day matches, like 350 is being changed. So when the T20 came, everything changed. I'm very much lucky that I captained Bangladesh in our first T20 match. So I was the first T20 captain of Bangladesh, and after that, like I was never picked to play a T20 for Bangladesh anymore, because the selectors and the team management thought that I was too methodical. I was there for only Test matches and one-day matches. But yes, I had to change myself, because you have to, like, nowadays, if you are not a good T20 player, then you are not picked. You are not loved by everyone. So what I did, I didn't change my technique a lot, but what I did, I thought, okay, if I'm hitting a six, I'm getting 6 runs, but there is a possibility I can get out. So why not hit more boundaries? So I focused on hitting more boundaries, and then 1 and 2 sixes are there, and I had to change technique. I had to adjust my technique a little bit, and then I slowly and steadily learned. So it doesn't matter how much successful you are, if you're not flexible in your job, then you will not cope up with the latest thing. So yes, when I scored the T20 100, I was I have been playing for the national team for a long time, but I had to change, because to survive you need to change, no?
And one thing I want to ask you is that, when Isam spoke about Yuvraj Singh and Mohammad Kaif playing against Australia, the under-19 level, beating them and gaining that confidence in international cricket and not being overawed, I wanted to ask you about that 100 against Australia that you made in Fatullah. I mean, it was a fantastic innings against a very good Australian team. And it was made in the first innings, and the Bangladesh score just zoomed along. And that sort of confidence, did it come from that success that you had at the age under 19 and age group level as well?
Like Isham has spoken, like we in 2003-4 there was a high performance unit which start operating, and we had this coach from Australia, Richard McKenzie, came, and he brought a trainer called Justin Cody. So these were two guys who changed the mentality of Bangladesh cricket forever. So then we started thinking like the Australians. We started thinking, working like the Australians. We started doing fitness, food, everything like the Australians, because at that period Australia was very successful, and he made sure we worked, like we used to work so hard, like we started at 7 o'clock, finished 4 o'clock, and while all we could do is like sleep in the bed because we were so tired. But and that period 2003 2004 everything changed, and from that came, we had so many international players, like from my batch, and now Sakib, Tamim, Mushfiq, they were all in that group. So that particular group changed everything for Bangladesh. So and as we were in that group, like 2003 4 5, we trained. It helped us to have that mentality to, like, it doesn't matter where are you from. If you have that strength in your mind and the mentality is right, you can conquer the world. So probably that intense training of 3 4 years helped me to achieve those like helped me, and I had that mentality. So facing the Australians, having that the mentality of an Australian guy helped me to score that 100 against Australia.
Yeah, wonderful. Definitely it was your innings that set up that match, and of course Bangladesh went on to lose it by a small margin, but it's still a great credit that
Achievement,
you
yeah.
were able to give such a fight to that Australian team, and that I think they really got a scare at the end. I mean, they won just by 3 wickets, which is just a few good balls or that catch here and there. It could have gone either way. So, but one thing about that period, though, in 2005, of course, there was that tournament in England where Bangladesh beat Australia in Cardiff. We just recently celebrated the 15 years of that. And then there was 2006 was this test match against Australia, came so close. And then 2007 was the World Cup, where, of course, Bangladesh defeated India and then went on to the next stage. And that was also a big achievement for Bangladesh. So for you as a youngster in that team, at that particular point of time, in those 3 years, it must have been extremely exciting, right? Like every match you had a chance to create history kind of thing.
Yeah, like that was the base. That was the period which Bangladesh like established a base, and now Bangladesh has become so successful. We had those amazing 3 years, 2005, 2006, 2007. We had an amazing bunch of players who were like performing every time. We were winning matches. We were very close of winning test matches. We were defeating those big guys, and that set the tone for the rest of the young guys. And now like Sakib came, Tamim came, Mushfiq came, and they carried on from that particular period. It was very much exciting. Everyone on that team, we wanted to change history. We wanted to win for Bangladesh. We wanted to make things happen. We wanted to make sure that the next generation will doesn't have the next generation can come and start from they don't have to start from a zero. We wanted to have something for those guys. So we were on a mission. We wanted to improve our standard of cricket, and hopefully we have done it. And because of those 3 years, now Bangladesh cricket are so successful because we were beating those big teams. We were scoring runs. We were scoring centuries. It gave the young cricketers a hope.
Yeah, Isam, don't you think that those 3 years were sort of really vital in providing belief? And I would imagine that cricketers who are playing now in the national team would have watched that period of cricket then, and even the under-19 boys who are coming up, they might also have, that might have been some of their early experiences of watching cricket. So that period was crucial, right, for Bangladesh?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the HP camp, there are a few factors. HP camp under Richard McKenzie, you had Dave Watmore coming in as the coach around 2003, but from 2005, he instilled that mentality that no, we're not going to play just for the sake of, being for 7. We'll try to win this game. They lost a lot of matches, but they had that. I mean, Habib Bashar, recently I was talking to him about the 2005 game against Australia, where there he also repeated this, that look, the moment Dave Watmore came, a lot of things started to change. And then that very interesting partnership between Dave Watmore, Habib Bashar, and Farooq Ahmed, the chief selector, his Shahriar Nafees' cousin. So they had a very interesting relationship. I mean, they actually believed a lot in the youngsters. They brought in Shahriar Nafees, they brought in. So slowly, Shakib came in, Tamim, Mushfiq. Mushfiq's case is very interesting. Mushfiq was, taken out of an under-19 tour in Australia and sent to England because they wanted a backup wicketkeeper for Khalid Mashood. This is 2005. Mushfiq made runs in the side games, scored 100. Then he got picked in the test team. He played a couple of test matches. He was a test player. 2007 World Cup, they picked him ahead of Khalid Mashood, and all hell broke loose in Bangladesh. I mean, people couldn't believe that a stalwart of 12, 13 years, this is Pilot Bhai we're talking about, the legend, he got dropped. He was nowhere near the national team. He was the main wicketkeeper at that time, but he was dropped. He was not going to be in the Bangladesh team. Mushfiq took his place. First game, what he does, he scores the winning runs against Australia in a 50. So against India in a 50. This is a product of that camp, that attitude that Dave Watmore had. Dave Watmore, from what I caught him for the last, his last 2 years as Bangladesh coach. I was a journalist, and I learned from the other journalists that he was very protective of the players in front of the media or in front of the public. He would never criticize a player in public, but when he went back to the dressing room, apparently he gave them a piece of his mind. He was the right sort of. He had that balance that he wouldn't use the media or humiliate a player, because Dave told me that look, I inherited a team that had bombed at the World Cup really badly in 2003. I mean, that was one hellish tournament for Bangladesh. So Dave Watmore came after that, and he didn't have a great team in his hand. He had to build a team. And the first year, they lost like anything. Suddenly, under Habib Bashar, they beat Zimbabwe. That was the first win in 5 years. And slowly, they started to build. They had players coming in. Nafis Iqbal was a very good player who came in at that time. Aftab Ahmed came in at the time. A lot of, there was a seam bowler called Nazmul Hussain, Taposh Boisho. I mean, Mashrafi was in and out because of his injury. But throughout that period, they tried a lot of things. And, I remember a lot of things came off, a lot of things didn't. Obviously, fans didn't appreciate a lot of defeats, but, that was the time when they started to win. That was the time when they shocked a few teams. They beat India on, the day before tsunami in 2004. They beat India. That was a shock win. That no one expected. There was not a lot of heroes in that game. Mashrafi bowled well. He took a brilliant catch. That was it. But he got the man of the match award for that game. But, those were building blocks. Those were very important building blocks in the international game. I think one of the most important test series before the Australia series was the one in Pakistan, where they lost all 3 test matches, but Pakistan were given a real ride for their money. I mean, in Karachi, in Peshawar, and then in Multan.
Yeah, so Shahriar, one thing I've had to check is that when you play such an innings so early in your career, I mean, you were just 1 year into your international career, and then you play this innings against Australia and Shane Warne, then going forward, are you constantly judged by that innings? I mean, do people expect you to play such an innings every time? And is there like a little bit of a comparison?
That happened with me. Like I came into international scene 2005. I scored. I was every time in every series I was the highest scorer. 2006 I was scored so many runs in that innings and in that series, scoring runs in test matches. I became the first and only Bangladeshi to score 1,000 runs in a calendar year. And then what happened in 2007 in the World Cup? I had only 6 bad games, and people suddenly started comparing me. They thought that every year I'm going to score 1,000 runs. So it's very difficult for a player to score 1,000 runs in every year. So when you have so much success early of your career, then if you're not scoring as much runs as you have scored, they think, oh, he's out of form, he's not scoring. and that's why I struggle. So I set the tone so high very early in my career, then I had to pay the price.
So, how do you now that you look back on it? After all these years, how do you think? Do you think there is anything that you could have done differently? I mean, of course, not about that innings. I mean, of course, you played that innings and all that. But after that, say in 2007, when you had that slightly lean World Cup, or after that, do you think you could have done anything differently?
No, I was always a hard worker. I always worked hard, and if I now we I, when I look back, I don't see a lot of. I haven't made a lot of mistake, but the mindset of the management or the board was a key thing. In that period, as like we wanted success and we wanted success so quickly, and at that period when you were having couple of bad games, then what they did, they dropped players. So they started dropping those senior guys that have, like in like up to 2007 we were so successful, and in 1 year we have lost 7 and 8 senior players, and they were all newcomers. So that period, what happened, they brought some new faces and we became successful. They thought if we bring more new faces, we will get a lot of success, but it never happened. So I think if the board or the selectors could have little bit faith on me, I could have flourished more. So those some not bad, but some different decisions was the key that I couldn't replicate what I have done in 2005, 2006.
You might have not replicated it, but you did have quite you had more good scores and there were more hundreds along the way. In fact, in 2011, I think I was just checking, in 2011, in the test against Pakistan, you had that 97 and you batted really well in that test. But that was, in fact, probably after that, you've just played 3 more tests and nothing else.
Yeah. So what happened in that period when I was playing, we played so little number of test matches. So after having those Australia series for 14 months, there were no test matches. So that was one of the downfalls for me. Bangladesh now plays a lot of cricket, but when I was playing for Bangladesh, we used to play one-day matches more. And that's why I have more success in one-day matches rather than test matches. If I was now playing, probably I would have been much more successful because Bangladesh plays so many cricket nowadays.
Yeah, still I would think it is not enough compared to other countries. But yeah, I think 14 months without playing, I mean, when you're in form especially and when you're batting well, it can make a huge difference. Yeah, about the one thing about wanted to check with Nafees Bhai is that you said that you at the moment, had you played more tape tennis cricket, that at the moment it would have really helped you with T20 and other short forms. But now, if there is a young batsman now coming through, do you see he has a heavy incentive to focus on improving his T20 game and not so much his traditional technique and playing long form cricket, simply because of the financial incentives involved?
The way I see it, Test cricket is the key. The leading countries of the cricketing world are the countries who play Test cricket very well. India, Australia, and England. These are the 3 big countries. They are always good in T20, Test, and everything. The reason behind it, the way I see it, because they play Test cricket very well. If you don't know the alphabets, if you know the grammar, then you can do whatever you want. If you don't know the grammar, then you are like not doing whatever you want. So you have to put emphasis on Test cricket, so then you can become better in T20s and one days.
My question was more focused on, like, say you're 15 years old in as a cricketer in Dhaka. Would you be willing to spend all that time in the nets and in the hot days, or would you rather say, hey, I have this tape tennis option in front of me, and then if I play tape tennis, then we could get a big T20 contract and go that way? Is that
no? I think I can. If I want to change, I would have changed the way I bat in the nets. In like those days, if I hit big sixes and all that, then the coaches would come and say, okay, play through the ground. Probably now the mentality has changed. Now when I teach my son, I want him to hit big. What I believe, you can hit, then you can learn how to defend the ball. But if you always defending the ball, it's very difficult for someone. Like it is very difficult to teach someone to hit. So the things has changed now. Everyone wants to hit and then start defending the ball.
All right, wonderful. So thank you so much, Nafees Bhai, for joining us and giving us a detailed chat. Thank you, Isam, also.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Isam.
Thank you so much for hosting us. It was a great talk, man. It was fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you.
India win. He'll come back for the second. India have won the Test match. India have won the series. They're going to get back for two. India home. Lords goes one.